Assalamu alaikum to all my very dear students. This is your English instructor Miss Kainat Kamal from English Department, Army Burnhall College for Girls, Abbottabad, and I welcome you all to the lecture 12 of Intermediate English, class 2nd year. Dear students, as we are on our reading selection 2.1, speech by Martin Luther King Jr., I Have a Dream, and we have done half of our chapter, the reading of our chapter, and today we will continue from where we have left. So, dear students, before going into our today's lecture, let me summarize for you our previous lecture that what we have discussed up till now. So, we have discussed about the speech of Martin Luther King Jr. that he has delivered on August 28, 1963, during the March on Washington, D.C. for Jobs and Freedom. He gave that speech at Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and this speech expresses Martin Luther King's notorious hope for America and the need for change. And Martin Luther King Jr., he has discussed number of figure of speech in Afra he has used, and he was not basically violent in his words and in his emotions. Rather, he just wanted to have a state where they all should sit together, eat together, and live together. And we have left on page number 42, and from and today we would start from the last paragraph of page 42. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Unmindful means oblivion or lack of awareness or unaware. He says that I am not unaware, I am not in oblivion, that here, whosoever is here in front of me, they have definitely come here out of great trials and out of great troubles. And what sort of troubles and trials they have in their life? Some of you come fresh from narrow jail cells. Narrow means limited jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution. Battered means injured or thrashed. Storms of persecution is a metaphor, and staggered by the winds of police brutality. Now, these are basically the troubles and the trials explained by Martin Luther King Jr. that some of you have come from directly who have come from jails, some living in an area where their quest for freedom, where their search for freedom left them injured, thrashed by the storms of persecutions, mean harassment, by the storms of cruelty, and staggered by the winds of police brutality. Staggered means unsteady walk. By the winds of police brutality means savagery, by their harsh behavior. You have been the veterans of creative sufferings. Veterans means the master of. You have definitely experienced creative sufferings. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Unearned suffering is redemptive means this phrase suffering is redemptive is basically a Catholic belief, and it means that human sufferings and unearned suffering is redemptive means over here that you are not only alone in the battle of these sufferings. God is not only helping you, but he is over there definitely keeping in you with his self, and he is along with you, helping you, and he is all the way with you in the way of these sufferings and in the way of these oppression. So he is not only there to watch all the things, rather he is there to walk with you in all these refining and purifying. Definitely we say that suffering is knowledge is suffering, knowing is suffering, sometimes we say. So sufferings sometimes makes you it purifies you, it refines you. So suffering is redemptive, means that God is there, he is along with you in all the way of these oppressions. Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana and go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. What situation he's talking about? The situation of oppression, injustice, inequality, that slavery. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. Wallow means stagger, weep, cry. Valley of despair is a metaphor and it means that hopelessness. Let us not cry in hopelessness. One day, definitely our faith would change. Fate would definitely change. Our life would change. All the promises that you have kept, you would definitely make them true. I say to you today, my friends, that in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, what's the difficulties and frustrations he's talking about? The frustration, the bitterness of that hopelessness, the difficulties that they are facing, they are not even given their basic human rights, their life, property, their children, their home, they are not safe. They are the victims of injustice, they are the victims of inequality, they are the victims of slavery. So, the frustration at the moment that what would happen next, whether they would succeed or they would go into the dark valley of despair, into the desolate valley of despair. So that you can say that dilemma, what would happen next, the good or the bad. I still have a dream, like irrespective of any frustration, any difficulty. He says, still I have a dream, and that dream is deeply rooted in the American dream. Now, what American dream is? American dream is simply equality, liberty, and freedom. So he says that my dream is deeply rooted in American dream, the dream of equality, the dream of liberty, the dream of freedom. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out. Live out means meet or carry out the true meaning of its creed, the true meaning of its doctrine, the true meaning of its belief. What has been written in the Constitution of America, the Constitution of this nation, that we all are equal, we all have freedom, we have liberty. We hold these truths to be self evident. Self evident means to be clear, undoubted, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, red hills here is assemble, which means that fire or hot, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners, this, the sons of the owners and their slaves will be able to sit down together and at the table of brotherhood. Table of brotherhood is again a symbol that symbolizes, that compares with togetherness. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a desert state, sweltering with the heat of injustice and oppression. Sweltering means that hot and humid, that is oppressed. Heat of injustice and oppression is a symbol that symbolizes hatred and upset. Like one-sidedness, cruelty, tyranny. It will be transformed, it will be changed into an oasis of freedom and justice. Oasis is here again a symbol that symbolizes heaven. So he wants to say over here that I have a dream that one day the state of Mississippi that is filled with hatred, upset, that is filled with cruelty, tyranny, that the heat of just injustice is there in like the sweltering, the humid, the hot heat of injustice, oppression. It would change into the heaven of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, that is black, but by the content of their character, by their nature, by their attributes. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day the state of Alabama, with its Okay, sorry. I have a dream that one day the state of Alabama, whose governor's lips are presently dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. Basically, this reference that Martin Luther King Jr. has used is about George Corley Wallace Jr. He was the 45th president and governor and was the most dangerous racist in America, whose lips were oozing, dropping. This dripping word is here is a metaphor, and it is used for hatred that was coming out from the mouth of that governor. The words of interruption, the words of interference, the words of making legally invalid things will be transformed into a situation where little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls and walk together as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. Now, here he dreams of a nation where they all live together, united, happy. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. A valley shall be exalted means that low class will be uplifted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain. It is a symbol which shows that the unrest position and the crooked places will be made straight. Again a symbol, and that shows that corruption that would go away with the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, unveiled, the magnificence of Lord, and all flesh shall see it together. That this twisted, this unrest position, this corruption, it would go away from our society, and the magnificence of Lord, the glory of Lord would definitely be unveiled someday. This is our hope. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the south with. Now, here he is hopeful. Here he is not basically threatening, not basically creating violence. Rather, he is a sort of requesting. He is a sort of showing a soft corner, showing some sympathy, some apathy. That this is our hope, hope of togetherness. This is the faith with which I return to South. With this faith, we will be able to hew out the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Hew out means to cut down, to carve. The mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Like we would eliminate, we would cut down this disparity, this hopelessness, this despair, this oppression from our society, and we would go into a permanent hope. Stone of hope means a permanent hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. Symphony of brotherhood is a metaphor, and it is used for the harmony of sound, that our voice would be one single voice. We all would, like jangling discord here, it means that rattling or lack of harmony. We have no harmony in our nation. But one day I have a hope that we would transform from this lack of harmony to a harmony of sound, harmony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for the freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. Here you can see that in Afra he has again used, and this will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with a new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee. Thee means you, and thee is the Old English. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims of pride. From every mountain side, let freedom ring. That was a freedom song that was sung by him. And he hopes that one day all of God's children will be able to sing with a new meaning together. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Prodigious means huge, monstrous hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous peaks of California, the curvy peaks of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from the every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mount side, let freedom ring. Again in Afra, and he wants to say that let this freedom ring from every single corner of this nation, every single corner of this state, this country, every single corner of this part of the world. Let freedom ring. When we let freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet. Hamlet is a small village where there is a group of houses. From every state and every city, we will be able to speed up, to accelerate that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, like pagans, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. So that was all from the speech of Martin Luther King Jr. And now it's up to you that you would analyze that how powerful words that he has used. Apart from his emotions, apart from his sufferings, apart from whatever he has suffered, the power, the emotions, the you can say the sufferings that he is making us to feel from his words. And he was only in one quest, and that quest was the quest of equality, freedom, liberty, justice, togetherness. So that was all from my side, my dear girls, and this is a home task that I would like to assign you. That yes, we have discussed about the literary devices, or you can say the figure of speech, speeches used in this speech by Martin Luther King Jr. But now it's your turn that you would identify the literary devices used in the speech, I Have a Dream. And you have to write down the phrase along with the literary device that has been used in the following phrase. So that was all from my side. Your queries and your confusions are welcome in our WhatsApp group. Thank you, dear students. Stay blessed till our next lecture. Allah Hafiz.